Hey guys, so this is a lazy Sunday video, I promise it is, but little quick intro from me because I wanted to ask a question, and since you're all here, I thought it was the ideal time to do it. This camera's sort of betraying that I've been out in the sun a little bit, isn't it? I look kind of red, especially on the neck. No one look. So yeah, I wanted to ask you a question. I saw a video recently and someone was talking about setting up sort of a schedule for their YouTube stuff and how it is better on YouTube. I don't know the details of it all. I'm not really that well informed. However, I thought it was probably a good idea that I do a nice regime for me, and you guys know when content's coming out. So lazy Sunday, already going to be a Sunday, isn't it? We know that. Also, skip ahead if you want to skip this bit to about 2 minutes, I imagine. And I thought Wednesdays might be a good one. So midweek video about something, ongoing projects probably, but let me know your thoughts anyway. Okay, let's get on with this. So on with the show, I guess. Right, today I think we're going to be doing, we are going to be doing this little POV wand. So this is the persistence of vision thing. So we've got a row of LEDs down here. We've got a microchip there. I think it's one of the ST ones. Got crystals and stuff like that. But essentially, what we do is drive these LEDs, and there's a shake switch or a tilt switch, something similar to that. And when you let's just say you wobble it around. When you wobble that around, it indicates that it's going back and forth like that. And it will light up some different LEDs. Now, I don't know what's programmed into this. I've seen a couple of other people do it online, and it seems to have a heart shape on there. So, well, I should have got the pink mat out really for that, but we're going to make do with this nice green one. All right, so let's get started. There are, again, with this one, no instructions, but I will put a link in the description where you can pick one of these up if you want to. What I'll try and do, because I know some of you guys can't buy from certain places, so I'll see if I can find it on eBay, Amazon and AliExpress, and that way you can take your pick, or you can just search online. I don't care where you buy it from, it's fine. Okay, it's an interesting board this actually. We've got really large tracks here. You can see just for that middle LED there's a really massive track there. Interesting. Anyway, and we've also got what's this? RX, TX, ground, VCC. Once I've built it, I'll see if I can read anything off that, but we'll see. Okay, so let's start getting some components in. Well, we'll have a look at the components we've got. So we've got a little battery holder. That appears to be, is that a AAA? I think it's a AAA. Luckily, I bought some the other day, so we've got some of those. And then we've got a screw. Don't know what that's for. We've got a little diode. Capacitor, those will be the timing crystals, won't they? Okay, the capacitors for the timing crystal. And in this bag, we have the IC holder and the IC. Actually, it's an Atmel chip, an AT89S52. We've got, it's got a programming header. That's interesting. Oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah, it's got an in-system programming header there. So I guess you can program it, but there were no details on the listing, but I'll hunt around and see what I can find. Got a switch, got some resistors, gonna have to get the multimeter out for those, because if you recall, I don't like to learn the numbers. And then a bunch of LEDs, and here's this flick switch. It's interesting. We'll take a look at that in more detail in a second. So what I think might be best is if I get these LEDs in. We're probably going to need a bit of blue tack, but for now we'll just pop them in and see how we go. Now, as I said earlier, I am looking to try and figure out, I don't want to schedule exactly, which way round do these go? I don't want to schedule, but I would like some guidance from you guys on how I perhaps should operate the channel. I do hope these are going in the right way. So feel free to just leave a comment. Also, as always, if you've seen any cool kits you think it would be fun to watch me build, then do let me know, because I'm beginning to run out. I think I have been running out for a while. I've ordered some stuff off AliExpress, which will arrive in months' time, but it's not a kit. It's for designing up something new. So I've bought some more NeoPixel type things. They're the SK6 something. I don't remember exactly what they are, but I've bought some of those. We're going to do a little matrix with those. It won't be wired up in a matrix because they're like one wire LEDs, aren't they? So you can communicate with them very similar to a NeoPixel, but I'd like a matrix of them on a board so that we can create some colourful pictures. And I might see if I can make it Wi-Fi enabled. I thought that might be quite fun. Speaking of Wi-Fi stuff, I am building. I'm not building anything yet. Haven't even designed it, but I'm going to be making an ESP8266 board using the ESP12F. And I need a bit of help in not designing it, but coming up with some features. Now, the main thing I want to do is implement some of the power design features that I've been messing around with my outdoor temperature sensor. That's still going strong, but it's inside at the moment. I've got some new MOSFETs to try, so I'm going to sort that out at some point, but I didn't want to just sit it out there until the batteries died, so it's not very good to run them down too low, which is what I did with the last set. One of them was sitting at under a volt, I think. It was quite a lot lower than a volt. Okay, so we've got an extra LED which goes at the top. Which I assume is not part of it. Maybe that's a... I don't really know what that one would be. Let's have a look if they're all the right way around. Yeah, they appear to be. Right, I'm going to solder just one side of these and then we'll straighten them up afterwards. It's sort of a... it's not really held down very well with this blue tack. So it's going to be pretty bad. But if it moves, whatever. We're only doing one side so that we can adjust it later. So we'll just blitz through these. I haven't seen any interesting kits around that I like the look of. I mean, I've still got some in my box that really I should be doing, but they just haven't sparked my interest. Okay, let's pull this off now, and we can see how badly they've come off, or come out rather. Yeah, look, so you can see they weren't sitting flat. Some of them look okay, but we'll just push the ones in that aren't sitting right. Oops, you don't want to move, do you? There we go, that's one. There's another one. Some of these are really janky, aren't they? So it's sort of a bit of a trick when you're soldering LEDs or through-hole components that you just solder one lead and then you can adjust it later. It's a very easy thing to do, but it's difficult to see where my soldering iron is right now. There we go. Some of the solder had flowed to the other side of the board there. Right, a little bit more blue tack. In fact, we could probably get the board holder involved now. So what we'll do is we'll solder up the new side, the unsoldered side first, and then we'll go back and solder the other side again, because I will have ruined those connections a tiny bit by messing around with the solder. And I only did them quickly, so there's not an awful lot of solder on there. Yeah, I was talking about the ESP8266, wasn't I? I want to design my own board. So if you guys have got any suggestions for a cool board you can think of, that'd be great. I think it's probably just going to end up being a sort of all things kind of board. So it will have the ability to have sensors attached. It will also have a low power timer. So I'm going to use one of those little timer ICs to turn it off and turn it on again. It might end up being an AT-Tiny85, I don't know, because you can make it a little bit more intelligent that way. But I do like the nanoamps feature of the, what is it, the TLC 510 or something like that. I can't really remember. Someone told me that Adafruit recently came out with an ESP8, oh no, a breakout board for one of those. Really doesn't need this much solder on these. In fact, they were perfect before, but just to be sure. Flip. Let's just hold on to those leads while we do this, shall we? What I would dearly love is a little magnet with a plastic cover on, so that I could pick all of these up, take the cover off, and they'd all drop off into a pot of some kind. I think that would be ideal. I might actually do that. I might 3D print some kind of tool, like an upside down bucket that I can hold over this and then turn over. I think that would be very useful. I might do that. I've got some free time tonight, so I will give it a go. It is currently around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and I've been out for a nice walk today, so I haven't done an awful lot though. Again, lazy Sunday. Let's give this a little clean. We don't really need to. I need that toothbrush now. I like to clean the boards just because, well, not just because, but it makes it easier to see a solder bridge, and flux is a little bit horrible looking, isn't it? Right, let's see what else we've got to put on this board now. Right, I think next up, we'll get the resistors in. Let's get rid of these little wires, not wires, they'll offcuts, because they'll just get very annoying very soon. So we'll get our resistors in, and our diode as well. Not quite sure what the diode's for. It might have an actual purpose in this circuit. So we've got some resistors here, there's the diode and the little capacitors, so we can do those. So let's pop the ones in that we know about. So we've got a capacitor that goes down here. Again, this is similar to the clock that we saw before, where it had the IC holder and the components were bent down so they sort of hid out the way of the IC. It's a very clever little design. In fact, we can get the crystal in there too. And our 22 picofarad, it appears they are. 22 picofarad capacitors, that's for loading on the crystal. And let's bend a few of those leads over so that it doesn't move around. That will do. And we need resistors. So we've got two 10k resistors and a 1.5k and another 1.5k. So should we even try reading them? I don't think we are going to. We're definitely going to use the multimeter. It feels like it's been a while since I did a kit lazy Sunday. I don't really remember when the last one was or what we did. I think we did a live one, didn't we? Yeah, we did. So that is, these are the 1.5k, these blue ones. So that means the other ones are definitely the 10k. Do you know, if I knew the numbers, I'm not even sure if I would actually trust myself. I think I would always check. Oh, that is not bent very well, is it? There we go. Let's do that again. So yeah, this week coming, I will be starting to design the little ESP8266 board. I might do a live stream. If anyone's interested in helping me design something, then I am perfectly open to do it on a live stream so that you can all input into it. I will desperately try and look at the comments while I design it. I'm going to try and, I mean, the idea is that I would have it as a low power device. So that's what I would like to do, have quite a low power ESP8266 board. So ignoring the fact that the ESP8266 can be pretty low power on its own in sleep mode, but I'd also like it not to have to be in sleep mode all the time. I'd like to be able to turn it off. I don't like the idea of these, like a Wi-Fi device being on all the time. I only really want it to be on when I've got something for it to do. It's not really a security concern necessarily, but I don't think that really harms any to have that. Oh, we've got a switch here as well. Let's have a look at that. And some screws. Does that, oh, okay, so the battery compartment's going to screw onto that board. That's interesting. Then we've got this little switch that goes up here. Now, are those legs, there's no polarity to it, are there? It's just sort of on. And then a diode goes over there. So the line on the diode lines up with the line on the solder mask. Or silkscreen rather. So let's pop that in. That one's not coming out in a hurry. And then there's a component here. I can't tell what that is. It's not that. Perhaps that's for a different kind of switch. Is it wired in the same? Yeah, it's wired in on exactly the same traces. So perhaps there's a different kind of switch that you can get that goes in there. And then this pops in down here. I think we're going to do that one last actually. Let's get some more blue tack on the case just to hold that tilt switch thing in, and then we can get started. So that's held in there. A little bit more blue tack over the other end, I think. There we are. That's, oh, it's not perfectly secure, is it? But what can you do? I'm no Julian when it comes to this stuff. Right. Let's solder up these parts. I'm interested to see what this looks like on camera actually. I've seen other people's, but you never quite know what it's going to look like on your own camera. Let's drag a bit more solder off. There we go. Only a few more bits left to do. And then we've got to solder in the IC. And then we'll largely be done. It's a little bit dirty now. Let's clean that iron. Only a few more bits. Some over here. Ordinarily I would zoom you in, but I sort of forgot. We've started now, so there's no real point going back on this. Let's have a quick look at those joints. This one over here looks bad, mainly because there's not enough on it. Everything else looks okay. Been quite stingy on some of these actually. Let's put a little bit more on there. That'll do. They'll be fine, I am sure. We aren't working in a high quality control kind of environment here, as you very well know. I wanted to tell you, the clock. Do you remember I was having problems with the crap clock? It wasn't keeping time. Well, let me tell you, it now keeps time. And the problem was, I sort of mentioned it in the comments what I thought it might be. It was decoupling on the board. Now, it appeared to work sometimes, which threw me off a little bit. So I was running it off the power supply that was coming from my Arduino Uno. So I'd had that going through a breadboard. And it worked when it was connected to that, and I unplugged the Arduino Uno from the USB power supply. Now, it didn't click with me that, so I knew it was on a decoupled power supply and I knew it wasn't a problem, but when I was unplugging the power from the 5-volt pin, then the time would get lost. And that's because there was no decoupling on my actual board. And that was easily solved by finding the right components. The reason I didn't put decoupling on there was just because I didn't have the components to put in. So now that I do have those, it works absolutely fine and the battery is keeping time. So I didn't make a mistake in the schematic. Just that one bodge wire, that will forever haunt me. God, look at that capacitor. That looks freaking terrible. And so does that diode. Oh well, I'm not going to do anything about it. Let's get these switches in, get the switch in rather. Which way around does it go? That is the correct orientation. So let's push that in. And then we've got a switch that goes up here. And I'll hold off on doing the ISP, the in-system programmer header for now, and then we'll come back to it. So let's just get this last button done. And switch. It's not a very nice board, really. I mean, the design looks nice, but the quality of the contacts don't appear to be great. They don't take a lot of solder very well, and they don't heat up very quickly. But it's adequate. I don't know why I'm complaining. Gosh, this is an awkward pad to solder to. Just flood that with solder then. There we are. Almost all done. So it's in the off position. We've got all of our LEDs in there. Now we just need to solder up the IC socket. So let's make sure it's in the correct orientation so that we remember to put the chip in the right way. And we'll solder it up. Again, going to need a little bit of blue tack to hold that in, but not an awful lot. Those capacitors are going to be a problem because I've messed it up. See if I can heat both at the same time. There we go. And the other one. There we are. A little bit more solder on those just to sort them out, I think. A bit of blue tack on the bottom. Stop them going back out again. I'll just quickly do that. There we go. We'll cut those leads off. The IC wasn't going to sit properly with that there, so we'll just sort that out. Pop that back in. Yeah, it should be fine now, hopefully. If it's not, we will sort it out again. So, a bit of blue tack there. Squidge it down, and then I do love an IC socket because you can really blitz through the pins on an IC socket. Do you know what I haven't done? Let's do some fluxing. Right, so this pen thing, it's not brilliant. I mean, stuff is coming out, but not at a rate that I prefer. I think these bottles were really the best thing I could have bought, and the brush on them is great, so I think I'm happy enough just using that brush. I don't need that Bonicote thing that it's called, I think. We don't need that. This is fine. All right, if I could hold the solder a bit better, we could do this properly. I'll just cut some off rather than hold it on the reel. Interestingly, some of these don't have pads to solder to. I don't know if you can see that, but this one does not have a corresponding pad, which is very strange. Why wouldn't you just have an unconnected pad rather than no pad at all? That's very strange. I've never seen that before. This is probably one of the most relaxing things for me, is soldering these little IC pins. There we go. And I can hear that flux crackle, which is cool. Crackle and fizz. Oh, actually, you know what? Cutting this stuff off the reel really does make me realise how much solder I get through. It's a fair old amount. There we go, that's done. Am I happy? No, I'm not happy. There's a few bits I could do better, or rather I could give it some more solder. And that one there. Maybe that one. I'm just getting picky now. There we go. Yeah, these definitely aren't connected in any way. Look. It's strange, isn't it, that these ones here they don't have pads. Very odd. And there's no track on the top either, so they're not meant to be soldered, I guess. God, that is raised off, isn't it? Well, it's probably a good thing, really. Bit annoying. I've not done that well. It's because my blue tack wasn't tall enough to get past those LEDs, so it sort of sat in a weird position. But it's sort of a happy thing, really. If you look here, we've got these resistors, not resistors, capacitors, sitting a little bit prouder than I would like. Right, so we get the chip in. We're going to have to roll this. I think we might. Yeah, we're going to have to roll it. So it's quite a big old chip, so you can really pick it up and grab it, which is nice. When it's smaller ones, you're really in danger of bending the pins individually, which is annoying. So just rolled that a little bit. It should now just drop in. Yeah, good. Even pressure across the chip, and then a little bit of pressure in the middle, and that ensures that you don't bend any pins inwards, which is a nightmare. Right, we've also got this ISP header, the ISP header. Should we pop that in? I suppose we can do. We're here, aren't we? We might as well. Right, let's get that one soldered in. A little bit of blue tack on either side, just to keep it stable. I've bought the cheapest blue tack you can imagine. It was £1 for, I think, 2 of them, and they're awful. So I have to buy some new stuff, or some actual blue tack, or the equivalent of. God, this is some heavy duty pins. There we go. Really, I should just get a new bit of solder, but I'm going to use this one, this tiny little bit. Ooh. Yeah, I think we're done with that. I almost burnt myself. That's enough. And just get a little... Come on now. I'm just going to have to turn this a little bit. There we go. They all look reasonably okay. Could do with a clean, couldn't it? Let's do that. Does look a little bit dirty. I wonder what the isopropyl alcohol does to this blue tag. I wouldn't imagine too much, but it might mess around with the oils in there. Right, now let's solder on this battery holder and then we can plug it in place. So the holes line up here, so battery holder's wires are too long in my opinion. We can change that so it can wire up like that, that's fine. So let's take them down a little bit. So let's get these wires soldered in, shall we? So all I'm going to do is just flip this black wire, and red wire rather, around so that we poke it through. Like that. And this one can come around like that. Oops, a daisy, that's already come out, brilliant. Blue tack. Oh, I probably should have done this first. Now that I'm soldering them around like that. So, oh well. I'll work around it. I could solder them on the other side if I'm honest, rather than solder them on this side and turn the board over, but we're just going to go with the way it is, I think. Just gingerly get the soldering iron in there. There we go. And the same over here. There we go, perfect. So that is nicely soldered in. Let's move some stuff out of the way and then we'll give it a test, shall we? So it is all soldered up together and I'm just going to pop a couple of batteries in and we'll see what happens. It's currently in the off position, the switch, so let's turn it on. Okay, so we have a little red light that shows at the top. Shall we try and give it a waggle? I'm going to hold on to the battery quite tightly because I don't have a screw for it. So some of the LEDs are lighting up. It's quite difficult to see, isn't it? Let's turn the lights off. Again, difficult to see. There we go. So it doesn't, I don't know what it's saying. Some Chinese characters it looks like. But I don't, is it meant to do anything else? Let's press the button and find out what that does. Ah, look, it says love, but some of these LEDs are not lighting up. You'll notice it's only the top portion up here. Now that is an issue. Let's figure out what I did wrong there, shall we? They're all soldered in place, but I soldered them the wrong way around. Okay, let's fix that. Damn it. Right, so here's the issue. If you look down here, it was positive all along there, and then they suddenly flip round, so I didn't notice. So let's see if we can unsolder them. Damn it. Right, after a fair amount of solder sucking later, I've just got one more to do. Oops. just to make my life easier, rather than pushing them through already soldered holes. You know, so I've got lots of this stuff floating around now. I thought it'd just be easier if I just sucked all the solder out and then started again from the beginning. It's still on, which was very silly for me to solder, essentially shorting out the batteries there. Never mind. It's done now, isn't it? So I'll just pop the rest of these in, we'll solder them up again, and then we'll have another look. Right, after all that, I've soldered them all back in the right way around. Why does this always happen to me? Anyway, they all should work now, so let's just turn a light off. I'm not very good at this shaking thing. Let's turn both of these lights off, might make it easier to see. So this is our Chinese characters. I'll press the switch. And now it says love. Just hitting things on my desk now. And if we do it again, we get a nice little heart. I wonder if I change the speed. No, there's sort of a certain arc that you need to do. And again, a button. What does that say? Can't really tell what that is. It looks like a person's face. Well, the button's no longer doing anything. There we go. It'd be nice if it sort of changed as you shook it, like maybe an animation or something like that. It seems that the characters do change. You can see that it's sort of looking different, but what's going on there? Those aren't Chinese characters, are they? Or are they? Yeah, they are. More Chinese characters. The word love again. And this weird face. I don't know. There we go. Done. So that is it. That is the little POV wand. I kind of like it. I will try and investigate the possibility of reprogramming it, but I think it'd be really easy to make your own. It is, after all, just a bunch of LEDs. A little tilt switch so it knows when it's changed, and like a long PCB, but I'm pretty sure you could get a Vera board that was that size. So yeah, interesting little idea. I might try and do something with that. We've of course got the serial connection here as well we could have a look at. So yeah, that's good. All right, well, thanks a lot for watching.